Hello and welcome to another RWBY episodic review. Today I'll be sharing my thoughts on RWBY Volume 4 Episode 2, Remembrance. If you haven't already, watch the episode and while you're at it, watch my previous videos. There's not a lot to talk about in this episode. I try not to let the pacing of the show bother me, but it's been bothering me for 3 years. It tries pacing itself like a shonen, yet the episodic format of the volumes doesn't allow that to work. Especially with the brief nature of the episodes, it's like if after every 12 episodes of Naruto, you had to wait a whole year to watch the next 12. So this episode is split into two segments, the Ranger stuff and the Weiss stuff. But before I give my thoughts on that, can I just say I love the new animation? Previous volumes used Poser, but this volume is using Maya. On top of giving more detail without sacrificing the cool aesthetic RWBY has going for it, it's being used in a way that doesn't cut the same corners that previous volumes had to. This is apparent in the first scenes of this episode. The sets in the show have always had good visual detail, but this is the first time that I feel like that it added to a scene thematically. Anyone who's ever heard anyone talk about Citizen Kane will instantly recognize the themes of loneliness on display here. Weiss is on her own, more than any of the other characters. Other than perhaps Klein and maybe Ironwood, she's got no one in her corner. Blake has son and will soon be joined by her family. Ruby has Team Ranger. Yang has her father. All of Weiss' family, on the other hand, seem manipulative, overbearing, and in all likelihood both. Which brings me to the most jarring thing in this sequence, and that's the introduction of Whitley. You know what? I actually rolled with it. It was never explicitly said that she didn't have a younger brother, and at least it's implied that she talked about her family off-screen. I would rather it be on-screen, but whatever. I mean, when she called out Winter's name in Volume 3, RWBY said something along the lines of, "Oh, that's your sister." So Weiss probably has told her team about Whitley before, which is more than I can say about some people. I especially love the portrait of the Schnee family and how no one is having a good time. Weiss' mother, like Whitley, has a surprise mention, but Weiss never said her mother was gone, so I don't know what I was expecting. The voice acting in RWBY has been surprisingly outstanding. I love that Howard Wang is voicing Whitley, especially since I've been missing his voice since 17 got absorbed by Cell and DBZ abridged. J. Michael Tatum really stretches his range for Klein, Kara Eberly gets better with every line as Weiss, and Jason Douglas, well, he certainly plays Jacques Schnee. I guess I was expecting a sterner voice, and what we got was a significantly less interesting version of Beerus, but at least he's written with that passiveness in mind. The only other thing I feel like I should bring up for the sequence is the concert. This concert seems to be what Weiss will be building up to for this volume. Verdict is still out on if they'll be able to deliver. I'm personally hoping for a Weiss performance to juxtapose with action sequences involving everyone else. Not so subtle way of showing the princess in another castle while her friends fight for their lives. Speaking of which, it seems the plot for this volume is going to involve bandits. I say that even though the show has never done well with sweeping plot threads and is always better when it's Freak of the Week or scenes where characters can just talk, interact, bounce ideas off each other. I already said last time what I think of Pyrrha, and the scene with Jean training only reaffirms that. Quick question though, when and why did Pyrrha record that video? I would like to think it was the same night that she found out about the maidens, which would put it at the same night Yang broke Mercury's leg. RWBY watching him from behind the tree is also a touching moment, and no, that's not just the Lancaster shipper and me. As much as I would have swooned over RWBY going to Jean and telling him everything is going to be alright, it would have been pretty inappropriate, and I can see RWBY struggling with honoring Pierre's memory, even though she finds herself in a position where it might seem like she's trying to replace the fallen warrior, especially with the all too real possibility of RWBY suffering a similar fate. After all, she does have glowy eye powers, but that didn't save her mother, so why would it save her? Speaking of which, I swear if they bring back Pyrrha, no good can come from it. Pyrrha's death was perfect, beautiful, and tragic in all the right ways. She was the strongest of the 8 heroes, and her death means that no one is safe. Not only that, but it makes her character arc the first one to come full circle, and Rooster Teeth can't punk out on it like they did for Weiss in Volume 2. So those are my thoughts. I don't like it quite as much as the previous episode, but it's still one of the better episodes in the show as a whole. RWBY doesn't need action scenes in every episode. It needs moments where the characters can just breathe and be themselves. So until next time, where I will be forced to address Blake, thanks for watching.